Alright guys, welcome to another electronics video. In this video we're going to be working on this Acer Chromebook. The model number for this one reads N16Q14. This is the R75 1T series. Now this is almost a case study that we can do. This has gone to another repair shop that first attempted repair and then secondly declined the repair. So it's been brought to us by the customer that took it there, and we will examine this and see what the fault is. And let me grab the piece of paper that says what the fault is, and it says Acer laptop does not charge, does not turn on. Okay, so those are the descriptions that we get from this. So let's go ahead and open this up. And I've removed all the screws, so it's a little bit easier for us to work with. And let's remove this plate, or this back cover here. There's a couple of screws, remove all of that. And battery, check the battery connector if that's plugged in well. And then let's grab our, so this one here takes a USB-C, see if we can get that into focus, USB-C charging socket here. And what we want to do is plug the charger in first and determine if we get a charge light or what sort of light do we get. So let's plug this here. We do get a light there, but it's flashing, so not sure what that means, but I believe if it's flashing, then it may not mean it's charging, but I'm not quite sure on that. So you see that's gone to blue. Anyway, so the way we determine this, so I know that this charger output is, let's get this one in focus. So the charging output on this one here is 5, 9 volt, 15 volt and a 20 volt at 2.25. Okay, so let's I'll plug this. This is a little USB-C charge meter that shows you how much amperage is going into the machine. So I'll plug that onto here, then connect that onto the laptop here, and let's zoom in, and we are getting 5 volts. So that indicates to me that there's something not right with this. So that's turned off now, and it goes to 5 volts, 0.3, okay, 0.097. the amps are all over the place. Okay, and it turns off again. So that's a clear indication that something is not right with this laptop here. So the first thing is that it doesn't turn on. I will start with the basics. I'm going to remove this battery, and then I want to see what sort of amperage we get. So we should get at least 15 or 19 on this. So let's plug that in. Zoom you guys in, and okay, so I unplugged the battery, and now we're getting 15 volts at 0.5 amps. Okay, that's interesting. So let's get that into the picture, and I will now connect the battery, and let's see what do we get. So we're still at 15, but the amps has not changed. So disconnect this and reconnect. Okay, so we're back down at 5 volts. Okay, so let's bring the multimeter into focus. See if I can place it there. It's in volts mode, and I want to pick a ground. So any of these copper places here, on this bit here, any of these copper bits are ground, so I'm just going to use this one here. I've got it set to DC volts, as you can see, and I will probe this section here to see what sort of volts do I get. And so we get 5 volts there. Let's check on the battery connector, and we're getting 8 volts on the battery connector, but it turns off. Okay, so let's measure on the ground and the battery side. So there's voltage present at the battery, but I am not happy with this voltage here. 5 volts is not enough to turn this laptop on. 15 volts is. So let me disconnect the power, and then let me disconnect this battery. Okay, press the power button a few times. Alright. Okay, then plug the power cable back in, check my ground, and check how much voltage I get on this pin here, which is 15. And let's check the battery terminal. So this too should give me 8, which it does. And then the ground. Alright, and then this one here should be 3.3 volts. Okay, 3 volts, 3 volts. Okay, so that's enough to tell me that the battery is faulty. But the interesting thing here is that even though you replace the battery with a new one, so let's do that now. Let's disconnect this. So we replace this battery with another one here. Okay, there's 3 here. Let's try this one here. And if we replace the battery with a new one, knowing that, oh yeah, okay, it's the battery that's faulty. But if we replace the battery with a new one, or a second-hand working one, we plug that in and connect our power meter on again, and we are still sitting at 5 volts. So you see that? Zoom in. You still see we're sitting at 5 volts there, and the laptop turns off. So this case study, I will take you along on how to fix that. So the customer went ahead, replaced 3 batteries, and they're all doing the same thing. Took it to a shop which worked on it but declined it, and they don't want to work on it anymore. So he has decided to bring this to me, and I will show you what to do from here. So what I went ahead and did was I went and got another battery, and I opened the section up. Now from here on, if you're not comfortable with doing this, please stop and take this to a professional at a shop or something. But I do not take any risks if you end up damaging the batteries, or LiPo can leak, or fumes can leak from these LiPo batteries and get in your airways and things like that. So this is very dangerous. If you're not comfortable with working with this section here, please stop. But regardless, I will put this on here, and let's have a look. We'll remove all this laptop out of the way, and let's work on the battery pack, and I'll show you what to do from there. Okay, before we move forward, let's remove this battery pack. I want to actually check that this laptop actually works. So I'm going to plug the power into here and let that boot up, and turn the machine on, and let's see if this actually boots up and gives me a image on the screen, because if it doesn't, then we need to chase other faults. But I'm pretty certain it's the battery that's the issue on here. I'll leave it open up that age. There you go. So we've got a image on the laptop there, and that's good enough. That tells me that this laptop is actually working. I can't show you the rest because there's customer information on there. So that's good enough. Let's close this and get rid of this. Bring in the battery pack, and I will restart you once I've got you zoomed in and having a look at the motherboard as part of this battery pack. Okay, so we're back here, and this is what an original one looks like, and what I went and did was I removed this little backing bit here, and so that exposes this bit here, and there's a plastic piece that goes over here. And once again, if you're not comfortable with doing this sort of repair, please leave it to someone who knows what they're doing or is comfortable doing that. I do not take any risks if something goes wrong in this bit here. So the battery pack number for this one here is AP16K5J, and so that's the one that we'll be working with today. And it's pretty easy to remove the battery pack out of the machine and to fix this problem here. And it just takes a bit of time to modify what's actually happening in the board and going on from there. So let's have a look now. So we've got this in focus. Let's grab our multimeter over here and let's set that to continuity. And what I want to check first is I want to check if I have, there's a fuse here, and I want to check if there's continuity there. So if I turn this light on, does that, no, that does not improve. Okay, so let's begin. So what I start off by checking is if there's voltage at these terminals here, right? So we'll go from here to here. So one side has 3.8 and the other side has 3.9, which is good. What I did was to charge these up. I brought in my power supply at 3 volts at 1 amp, and then I put the probes on in here, and it charged the single battery pack. But the problem still exists as we don't get any voltages at this terminal here. So we should be at least getting around 8 or 7 volts here, but we get nothing. We get 0.036. Okay, however, we get 3.8 here and 3.9 on this side. The next thing to check is the fuse here. So this is almost like a thermal fuse here. So it should have continuity on both sides. Let's check that, which we do, as you can see on the multimeter that it does. But the problem is that we are not passing the current or the voltage through to these points here which supply to the laptop. So what I need to do now is I need to trace where this positive line is going, right? So I have put it on the continuity scale here. I will put a probe on the red positive terminal here, and then I am just probing anywhere in the board of where this line is going. So I need to check here. So does it go here? It does. That's ground, that's ground. It goes here. It doesn't go here. So you can see there's a capacitor that's missing here, and I believe the shop, or it's been missing from here, and the positive does not go there. So it's ground, so it comes here. Okay, it does go there. Okay, so from here to here it's missing a connection, right? So what's actually happening is maybe I think this might be a 2-layer board where in between the junctions it's burnt the track out. So what I'm going to do to fix this problem is, because I know that fuse is good, it's got good continuity here, and if I change my multimeter to volt scale here, and I put the black probe on ground here, and I check on these posts here, I get almost 7.8 volts there, right? So I know that the voltage is present here, okay, and here, that's just ground, and there, right? So, but I know the voltage comes up to here, up to this fuse, and further on, but it doesn't surpass to here. So it's here, but not over here. So how do you fix this? We've tried different battery packs. We've tried another, new one, another used one, another working one, but still the problem persists. It's not charging. What we do here is, if we find the nearest point, so the nearest point of where the voltage is present. So what I mean by that is the nearest point from here to here, right? So I don't want to go from here to here because there's no filtering going in between it. There's no way of telling if the battery's charged or not, because over here you've got your battery management IC, right, that checks on how much volt it is, if it's full, if it's flat, or what sort of indication that it needs to give. So what I need to check is, I need to check where is my nearest point of voltage present, right? So over here obviously there's nothing, on this side there's nothing, this side nothing, still nothing. All right, what about, okay, so that's my nearest point. So I don't want to go there because it bypasses all of this, right? So what I need to go is go over here. So to fix this problem here, what you do is just run a jumper wire, right? So let me grab a jumper wire and a pair of tweezers so I can hold this. Is essentially what I'm going to do, and oops, sorry for that, is I will jumper a wire from this section here, from this positive all the way to this side here, right? So that should restore the voltage that's coming out from the battery pack to here, but we are leaving everything else intact. The reason I do that is because, again, you've got capacitors, you've got diodes, you've got resistors here that do a critical role by filtering and reducing voltage and voltage spikes to the full battery connector here, right? So we'll leave that intact. So let me grab a bit of flux, and we can solder that little jumper wire back into its spot. Oh. Okay, sorry, my solder paste here had taken a walk. So I've got that. Here's my wire, 0.01. Here we go. And I want to add a bit of solder to that point of capacitor here. Okay, and a bit on this. Good, not too much, just enough. And just jumper a wire across this to see if we can restore the battery voltages. So okay, so that one there, and okay, so it's good enough. Let me grab a cutter and snip this off. Make sure this is not touching anything. Good. Okay, now let's have a look under the multimeter if we have restored our voltage there. Okay, so we're still on DC volts here, positive probe and negative probe, and there you go. So now we have 7.8 volts, which is not fully charged, but it's enough to give this board a chance to turn on. Let's bring the laptop back into the picture. Place the battery back here and here, and zoom you out. Okay, plug our ammeter back in. Hopefully you can see that, and let's see what sort of voltage do we get. So now we have got 15 volts at 2.3 amps. Awesome. And so we've got a charge light here that is stable now, so it's no longer flashing and that blue light that we get at the end of it. So that's cool. And I will now check my measurements on the battery terminal. So it's again on volts DC, and let's go on this side and this side. So we are charging at 8.52 at 1.89 amps, which is good. So we've gone from 8.52 to 8.53. So awesome. So that battery is charging now. And what I will do now is remove this, put a bit of a anti-static lube on here, as well as a bit of a tape so I can seal this area up, put this back on, and then we'll retest from there. Okay, so I've sealed that back up. Had a little plastic piece that goes in the middle as well. Let's plug this up onto the laptop. So the new age laptops now are becoming quite smaller with their motherboard designs and the component level, the components of the loo. Okay, so we got 15 volts at 2 amps, which is good. And what I want to check is if I remove this, open this up enough so you guys can see, and power on the laptop and see if it turns on without the cable plugged in. Okay, there you go, and that's fixed, and there's no power cable plugged in, it's just the battery pack now. So there you go guys, back to life. So just a recap of what we did. We had a look at the laptop with the amp meter plugged in. Once this is plugged in, the laptop light flashes orange, 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 blue, and then turns off and then restarts again. And then we removed the battery pack and we connected it. We get our 15 volts back. We find that the battery pack is faulty, and then we have 3 other battery packs that we can try. Same problems with all 3. We then open up this section of the battery to inspect the motherboard that's inside the battery pack. We jumper a wire to the nearest point of voltage that's available to us, and we run it directly onto the mains that comes into the laptop, and then we restore the battery voltage available on the battery pack back to the motherboard. We connect our amp meter, we get our 15 volts back, we get our charging voltage restored, and the laptop can work on battery power again. So I hope this video has helped somebody out there, and thank you for watching.